Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over another weekend winter storm for portions of the western United States. We're going to be going over how cold those temperatures will be, as well as how much snowfall some areas in the western United States will be seeing, and we'll also be going over a couple of other factors, including very gusty winds over the next couple of days, especially for the western and central United States. So here's the current National Weather Service page. As you can see, there's not a lot going on. There are some high wind watches in effect for portions of northern Montana, as well as some air quality alerts in effect for Washington and California. We see some red flag warnings for northern South Dakota, and other than that, there's not a lot going on in terms of watches and warnings. Now, here's the GFS model, and then we'll look at the European model, and then we'll look at a couple of other factors, including your drought monitor and how much snowfall/rainfall you'll be seeing from this event. Now, we're going to go through 12-hour increments because this will be a very prolonged storm. This will be going over about 5 days or so, where you'll be seeing rain or snow for some portion of the western United States. So this is around 10 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. So we're looking at probably over the next 2 days, you're going to be seeing some rainfall move through portions of the northwestern United States. So for Washington and Oregon, you guys will get a little stream of rain that moves up through your area, and that'll actually bring a little bit of snowfall for the higher elevations, rainfall for the lower elevations. Then as we get to 10 p.m. on Friday, we're looking at some, on Thursday, we're looking at some rainfall still for portions of Montana, Idaho, and Oregon, but that low pressure system is dipping further to the south. We see that one that is over the western United States, and then we see another one that's offshore of the western United States, and these are going to rotate around each other, and they're going to kind of spin around each other like that. We're also going to see this dip further to the south, and eventually it'll actually get carried back to the north, and you'll actually see a lot of snowfall pile up for these regions. Now, here would be by this would be by right around Friday night, right around 10 p.m. And we're looking at some of that snowfall move through portions of Oregon, Nevada, and California. And not even in those higher elevations, even in some of those dry, arid regions where you can actually get fairly low in your temperatures. Even if you don't have elevation, you can get some snowfall for these regions. And we're seeing that this would be by November 7th. That low pressure system now in Utah, and it's going to be continuing to move further to the south and east before moving further to the north. So here would be by right around, this would be Saturday, right around 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we're looking at some snowfall and rainfall moving through parts of the Rockies. Mainly that rainfall is for the Rockies. You do have a little bit of highest elevation snowfall, but most of that snowfall is going to be on the western and northern side of the system for portions of Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Nevada, California. So that's the regions that are going to be seeing that snowfall by this point. Here would be by 10 p.m. on Saturday, November 7th, and we're looking at some of that heavy snowfall now moving through portions of Montana, Idaho, and even into parts of Oregon, where you're getting some more rain to move off the ocean and kind of impact some of these regions. Unfortunately, the areas that aren't going to be seeing too much precipitation are these regions in the southwestern United States. You guys might see a little bit of snowfall in the higher elevations, but you guys are in an exceptional drought for some of these regions, and you guys really aren't going to pick up too much in terms of rainfall. Hopefully you guys can get a little bit more precipitation than what's forecasted right now. Also, look at this pressure gradient over the central United States. We see extremely tight pressure gradient from a high pressure that's out in the eastern United States by this point off this map, and then we see a 987 very strong low pressure system. That means that you're going to have very strong winds moving throughout these regions, and that's going to be a very big issue. It will be warmer for these regions though, because the system will be off to the west. It'll be driving up a little bit of those warmer temperatures before the system moves by, and once it does, that's when your cold temperatures are really going to set in. So let's continue this a little bit further in the future. Here would be by 10 a.m. November 8th, Sunday, and actually this would be right around 9 a.m. Mountain Time, so let's adjust this for Mountain Time, and we're looking at a lot of rainfall for the Dakotas and a lot for the Intermountain West, and we're looking at most of that snowfall for portions of Montana and Wyoming, with some scattered snow flurries for much of the Southwest and pretty much the entire western United States as a whole. Here would be by 10 p.m. on on Sunday, November 8th, and we're looking at most of that snowfall starting to get out of here, and then it's pretty much all said and done with, except for a little bit of flurry action for portions of Montana, Colorado, Utah. So not a lot going on for those regions. Now here would be the European model. Let's zoom out to the entire United States view and see what's going to happen with this storm. We see that storm out in British Columbia, Canada, and offshore of British Columbia, and you're going to see a fairly similar track from the European. Moves down through Washington and Oregon, down into right around Nevada, and then by this point, this is when it starts to head back further to the north, and then you start to see a lot of snowfall move through these regions, and you'll start to see a very strong pressure gradient move through here, and you'll actually get a little bit of warm temperatures to ride through ahead of the storm. Behind the storm is again where you're going to see those cold temperatures on the western side of the storm and also on the southern side of the storm. So when the storm passes, you guys will eventually get into some of those colder temperatures. So here to be by right around, this would be Thursday night, so right around Thursday 10 p.m. or so, and we're looking at some of that snowfall and rainfall for portions of the northwest. Let's play this through a little bit more, and here to be by Friday, or as we get to right around 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we're looking at still most of that snowfall restricted for portions of Oregon, California, and Nevada, with a little bit of that snowfall up for parts of Montana. Here to be by Friday night, right around 10 p.m. Pacific time, and we're looking at most of that rainfall and snowfall, really a mix of things. As you get further east and as you get a little bit further inland, that's where your temperatures might be closer to 32 degrees, and you'll actually get quite a bit of snowfall if some of these model projections are correct. Here would be by Saturday morning, right around 10 a.m., and we're looking at some of that snowfall up for portions of the western United States, and especially the northern Rockies and parts of the northwestern United States. Let's switch over to mountain time, and by this point, this would be right around 9 a.m. Mountain, or actually this would be around around 9 p.m. Mountain time, and we're looking at some of that snowfall still for portions of the western United States. This would be by Saturday. By this point, November 7th. Here to be by November 8th, right around 9 a.m. Mountain time, and we're looking at some of that snowfall still for portions of Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and much of the western United States as a whole. And then as we get to probably this will be a Sunday night, so as you're getting into the early morning hours on Monday, most of that is wrapping up by that point, and then just some scattered snow showers behind the storm. Now here would be what the European model shows in terms of snowfall, and you see some of those highest elevation regions could pick up closer to 2 feet of snowfall in that lighter blue. The key is on the right hand side, so you can look up what each individual color means in terms of snowfall. But really the highest amounts are going to be for northern Montana, where even though you don't have a lot of elevation, areas in northern and especially eastern Montana are quite similar to those of the plains. They don't have too much elevation, although the main factor is that you're going to have another system that's out further to the north, and that's not going to allow this system to move by. So it's going to have to stall out here for maybe 1 or 2 days, and then eventually as that other system moves out, it will be able to move out, and then you'll start to see some of those colder temperatures on the backhand side. But potentially some areas in eastern and northern Montana could pick up closer to 18 or 24 inches of snowfall, and that snowfall is getting fairly far to the south as well, where many areas in the western United States, even some of those lower elevation regions, could get into some of that snowfall. Now here would be the GFS model, and it's fairly similar to what the European model was showing. Highest elevation regions picking up between about 12 and 24 inches, with some of those areas in northern Montana also getting closer to 18 to 24 inches of snowfall. Now here would be the maximum forecast for wind gusts. So the maximum wind gusts that you will see out of this entire storm going through November 10th. So we're seeing a lot of these areas, especially for portions of the central United States and even portions of the southwestern United States ahead of the storm, are probably going to get some wind gusts in knots that are right around 30 to 40 knots, which is closer to right around 35 to 45 or 50 miles per hour. So it will be very, very windy, especially over the northern and central plains. And then here's your drought monitor, and just something to notice is that much of the southwestern United States is looking at some very, very dry conditions. Your drought conditions are exceptional according to this, and this is from I believe the Climate Prediction Center, if I'm not mistaken. So they do all this data, they configure all of it, and they put it together. And we are under an exceptional drought for some of these areas and portions of the Four Corners, as well as parts of Nevada, and then even in that red, that's an extreme drought. So that's still a very, very big deal and something that you really have to pay attention to. And luckily, some of these areas over the northern Rockies and the northern or the northwestern United States look to get into some of this snowfall and rainfall. So that should alleviate some of your problems. But notice that when we were looking at that, these areas really didn't get too much. Maybe a little bit of snowfall, but you're gonna need a lot more to really make up those drought conditions. So it's gonna take a lot of time before you guys can even get out of your drought conditions. So it's gonna be a very, very interesting thing to see occur. Now here would be your temperatures, and let's just quickly go through this. Here are your low temperatures on Sunday morning, November 8th. In the reds, that's where you're looking at between about 30 and about 20. That's in the lighter reds. In the darker reds, that's where you're between about 10 and 20 degrees. And then as you get into the purples, that's where you're between 0 and 10 degrees. If you even get into those kind of green conditions that you see up in central Canada there, that's where you're below 0. And you can and even in those lighter blues that you see for northern British Columbia, you can see closer to negative 10 or negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. As you get into the lighter blues, that's where you're between 30 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then as you get into those medium shades of blue, that's where you're close to 40 or 50 degrees for your low temperature. So here to be by November 8th, you can definitely tell the warm air is ahead of there, where you have low temperatures that are going to be closer to 55 or 60 degrees. Cold temperatures behind it, where you're looking at temperatures that are going to be in the teens and single digits for your morning lows. Then as we get to Monday, November 9th, it continues to strengthen, and you start to see that cold air move a little bit further to the east, and over time it will overtake much of the northern United States, where you guys will get back into a colder and chillier pattern. And then here to be by November 10th, and this is where you start to see more negatives show up for portions of Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho there, where you're looking at some of those negative temperatures, and those 30s and 20s indicating the colder temperatures are starting to slide a little bit further to the south and east there. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.